Author Han Kang wins the Nobel Prize in Literature, becoming the first Korean author to win the prestigious award. It's also unprecedented for a female Asian writer. President Yoon attends the East Asia Summit in Laos, condemning the military cooperation between Russia and North Korea and calling for freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. The country's key rate has been lowered to 3.25%, down by a quarter of a percentage point. It's the first rate cut in about 3 years amid stabilizing inflation. It's October 11th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter.
The Nobel Prize in Literature for 2024 is awarded to South Korean author Han Kang.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Min. We start with a South Korean female author making history. For more on Han Kang's Nobel Prize win, I'm joined by our culture correspondent, Song Yoo-jin, in the studio. Welcome, Yoo-jin.
Great to be here with great news, Jung-min.
Great news. What a huge moment for Korean literature.
It definitely is, Jung-min. So I literally got goosebumps when I heard that Han Kang was named as this year's winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature because, as you mentioned, it's such a historic and monumental win for Korean literature, Asian literature, and in the world of literature all in all. So to celebrate Han Kang's win, I looked into what has made her work resonate so deeply with international readers. Let's first take a look.
The Nobel Prize in Literature for 2024 is awarded to South Korean author Han Kang.
History made, again. That's how author Han Kang's remarkable 3-decade-long career can be described. Han has become the first South Korean writer to receive the prestigious award and only the second Nobel laureate in Korean history, following the late former President Kim Dae-jung's Nobel Peace Prize in 2000. The 53-year-old is also the first Asian woman and the 18th female author to receive the honor.
Yes, I'm honored and I really appreciate your support, the support of the prize, and yeah, I just appreciate it.
While this may be her first Nobel win, Han is already a celebrated figure in Korean literature. She rose to international fame when she became the first and only Korean to date to win the Man Booker International Prize for her novel, The Vegetarian. Alongside the Nobel Prize and France's Prix Goncourt, is considered one of the world's 3 major literary awards.
Han Kang's Booker win opened the door for more Korean literary works that incorporate unique perspectives and timely themes to be published and translated globally. This has led to greater interest in Korean literature.
So, what sets Han's work apart?
She has a unique awareness of the connections between body and soul, the living and the dead, and in her poetic and experimental style has become an innovator in contemporary prose.
But her works couldn't have touched readers worldwide without skilled translation.
She has consistently explored the depths of society and history, seeking true love and inner beauty in her works. Her unique writing style, praised by the Nobel Committee, has been brilliantly captured by her translators, resonating deeply with international readers and fostering empathy.
With this historic win, Han Kang is paving the way for Korean literature to shine even brighter on the global stage.
Yoo-jin, I just wonder what amazing achievements Korean literature will reach next. And I'm sure many of our viewers are going to be curious about Han's works after her big win. Which of her books would you recommend?
Well, Jung-min, do you have a personal favorite?
Well, I have to say, I have to go with her most well-known book, The Vegetarian.
I knew it. I can read it like a book. But going back to the question, the Nobel Prize actually asked the same question to Han Kang almost immediately after she won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And the author recommended I Do Not Bid Farewell, which last year won the Prix Medici for foreign literature. And it's set to be published in English with the title We Do Not Part next January, so stay tuned for that. And Han says that the book will be a great starting point for those who are new to her work. And she also suggested Human Acts and the White Book, which she describes as a very personal book for her because it's quite autobiographical. And of course, there's The Vegetarian you mentioned, which won her the Booker Prize in 2016.
And so many great choices to check out as well. And Eugene, I absolutely agree that skilled translation is essential for Korean literature to gain more global attention. What's being done to support this?
Right, so the Literature Translation Institute of Korea has been running its Translation Academy from 2008 to really nurture future literary translators. And actually, a lot of those who translated Han Kang's books are from this program. Other notable graduates include Sora Kim Russell and Youngjae Josephine Bae, the translators of novelist Hwang Seok-young's Mater 210, and Anton Her, who translated Chung Bora's Cursed Bunny, both Booker Prize-nominated works. And the Institute is now working to kind of transform this academy into a more specialized educational institution by turning into a graduate school, so we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Our culture correspondent, Song Yujin, many thanks.
Thank you.
Now, the South Korean author's works are gaining more attention on the global stage. Our Lee Si-hoo covers recommendation worldwide and critical acclaim over her writing.
An innovator in contemporary prose. This is how the Swedish Academy described author Han Kang, the winner of the 2024 Nobel Prize in Literature. And Han Kang's intense poetic prose that confronts historical traumas and exposes the fragility of human life is being celebrated around the globe. The chair of the Nobel Committee for Literature, Anders Olsen, praised Han, saying her empathy for vulnerable, often female lives is palpable. The New York Times quoted Paige Anya Morris, the co-translator of Han's novel, We Do Not Part, who said that her groundbreaking work has reshaped the literary landscape in South Korea. Morris said Han Kang has braved a culture of censorship and saving face, and she has come out of these attempts at silencing her with stronger, more unflinching work each time. Novelist Deborah Levy told The Guardian that Han Kang is one of the most profound and skilled writers working on the contemporary world stage. Novelist Max Porter, who edited the translation of Han Kang's novel The Vegetarian, showed excitement at the recognition, saying new readers will discover and be changed by her miraculous work. For those yet familiar with Han Kang's work, CNN highlighted the Nobel Committee member Anna Karen Palm's recommendation to begin with Han's 2014 novel Human Acts, which reflects on the 1980 Gwangju uprising, when more than 100 civilians were killed during pro-democracy demonstrations. Palm says that Han's very tender, precise prose in itself almost becomes a counterforce to the brutal noisiness of power. Readers and media outlets from nearby Japan too praised the first win by a female Asian writer.
Recently, it's mostly been European authors winning the prize, so I was really happy to see Asian writers being recognized.
Kyodo News reported that Han Kang's works highlight the stance of the scarred who silently resist the social oppression. NHK also highlighted that Han Kang's many works have been translated in Japanese and are widely popular in the country. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
And here at home, there is a fervor for the South Korean author with long lines forming at bookstores to buy her works. Our correspondent An Sung-jin is one of those sites to see how the locals are reacting. Sung-jin, what's it looking like there?
Good evening, Jungmin. Well, it's a little bit past 8 p.m. here in Korea, yet behind me you can see that the crowd is still here to see her books. The bookshelf behind me has been fairly empty the entire afternoon, but it's been just restocked as I speak to you right now. This bookstore has set up a special corner that showcases her books, as well as a mini photo spot behind me for those stopping by. This section had been setting up starting last night as the announcement was made, and a lot of people had already bought some of her books, including The Vegetarian, Human Acts, and The White Book. Some had even come as early as the opening of the bookstore this morning. A bookstore worker said that shelves had been restocked multiple times since the morning, as you have just seen, being constantly restocked. Visitors to the bookstore congratulated her win, and some even said they have a special bond with her books.
I'm so proud that a Korean author won the Nobel Prize in Literature. I came by to buy her books, but they were sold out already.
It's a very historical day. As someone who was there like the main character of the book, I feel the emotions and a sense of sorrow. It's a great honor that a piece like this has been acknowledged.
Right, Songjin. Exactly how popular are her books?
Well, to quantify the demand a bit, the books of her sales have definitely surged. This bookstore said that sales of copies of her books have gone up by more than 400 times compared to the day before. And across major bookstores in Korea, it has been seeing sales of at least 130,000 copies being sold. Since most of the books in the store are sold out, you can order them online or wait until they are restocked in bookstores offline. Though when exactly they will be back in stock is unclear. The bookstore said that even if you order online, you will have to reserve and wait a couple of days till you receive them. That's all I have for now. Back to you, Jungmin.
Right, that was our An Songjin at one of South Korea's popular bookstores. Thank you. And a group of Japanese atomic bomb survivors, Nihon Hidankyo, has won the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize. The organization is made up of survivors of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and has created a grassroots movement for the victims. The head of the Nobel Committee said the group received the award for its efforts to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons and for demonstrating through witness testimony that nuclear weapons must never be used again. Hidankyo's co-chair told a news conference that the group's recognition would give a major boost to its efforts to demonstrate that the abolition of nuclear weapons was possible. Over in Laos, President Yoon partook in one of the key ASEAN-related summits, pledging commitment to easing humanitarian crises in war-torn regions while condemning the military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. Our senior correspondent Woo Soo-young reports.
President Yoon Suk-yeol set out South Korea's role and vision for a peaceful, rules-based global order, pledging to expand aid to Myanmar and Ukraine, and calling for an end to violence and subversive acts across geopolitical flashpoints. He was speaking on Friday at the annual East Asia Summit, comprising of 18 countries, including the 10 members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, as well as South Korea, Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, Russia, and the United States. With Myanmar's internal crisis being the focal point of the discussion, Yoon said the conflict is a test of the annual summit's problem-solving capabilities and that all violence must cease immediately. The situation in Myanmar has been spiraling since February 2021, when the military junta forcibly removed an elected civilian government, leading to protests which have turned into an armed conflict within the country. To improve the humanitarian situation, Yoon said Seoul will provide $23 million in aid this year, 4 times the amount it gave in 2023. He also called for a swift ceasefire amid the Israel-Hamas conflict and negotiations to release hostages, warning that conflicts in the Middle East also have direct implications for peace and security in the Indo-Pacific. Yoon further pledged to expand security, humanitarian and reconstruction aid to Ukraine through Seoul's Ukraine Peace and Solidarity Initiative, noting that North Korea and Russia's illegal military cooperation enables the Ukraine war to continue. Yoon said Pyongyang only aims to sustain the ruling regime while clamping down on human rights and posing a nuclear threat to the region. He then emphasized his unification doctrine, a vision for the unification of the two Koreas as a force for peace and prosperity across the world, as it promotes nuclear non-proliferation and new economic opportunities. With growing tensions in the South China Sea, the South Korean leader said the freedom of navigation and flight across regional waters must be guaranteed in accordance with the international law. Yoon noted that as geopolitical uncertainty grows around the world, the role of their multilateral meeting will become increasingly critical, Antique called on leaders to prioritize dialogue and cooperation. As a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council and through its role as a global pivotal state, Yoon said South Korea will make every effort to restore peace through dialogue and cooperation among the involved parties. Osuyoung, Arirang News.
For the first time in more than 3 years, the Bank of Korea has eased its grip on monetary policy by lowering its benchmark lending rate by 25 basis points amid slowing inflation. Moon Hyun has more.
The Bank of Korea on Friday slashed its benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points on Friday to 3.25%.
We have decided to lower the base rate by 25 basis points to 3.25%, given that inflation has shown a clear stabilization trend. The effects of strengthening macroprudential policies are gradually emerging, and foreign exchange market risks have somewhat eased.
The key rate had been frozen at 3.5% since January 2023 following a series of 10 consecutive rate hikes in a bid to tackle inflation, and this is the first policy pivot in more than 3 years. The central bank was widely expected to cut its benchmark interest rate following the US Federal Reserve's big rate cut of 50 basis points last month, on top of encouraging data on the domestic economy. The country's consumer price index, a key gauge of inflation, has been seeing smaller and smaller year-on-year hikes over the past few months, until it rose 1.6% in September, the lowest seen in 3.5 years. In a statement following the meeting, the Monetary Policy Board said it expects core inflation to remain stable around the target level of 2%, but acknowledged the volatility of global oil prices in response to geopolitical risks in the Middle East. Eyes are on how this rate cut will affect the country's housing market and currently sluggish domestic demand. Data released by the Korea Real Estate Board showed a slight cooling in Seoul's apartment price hikes in September following a prolonged period of rapid growth. Additionally, the growth in household loans, particularly mortgage loans, has slowed in recent months. However, analysts caution that it could be too early to declare a definitive trend, as it could have been affected by the Chuseok holiday.
So we'll have to look at October statistics to make sure that there is any trend in place, if there is a trend in place. There is danger that the lower interest rate coupled with higher housing prices, even though it has slowed down, the interest rate cut may re-spark the rise in prices in the housing market.
In terms of the domestic economy, the BOK stated that IT export growth has continued its robust pace, while the recovery in domestic demand has been slow. Uncertainties regarding the growth outlook for the economy going forward have risen as a result. There is only one more monetary policy meeting left in the year towards the end of November, so the BOK will be monitoring the trade-offs between different policy variables, such as inflation, growth and financial stability, to make its final monetary policy decision of the year. Moon Hyun, Arirang News.
Findings show Korea's exports gained tangibly during the first 10 days of this month on the back of chips. According to the Korea Customs Service, exports soared above 33% on year, amounting to around $15.3 billion. Semiconductor shipments overseas, which surged over 45% on year, were cited as the main factor behind the favorable export performance. As of last month, Korea's exports have been expanding for 12 months in a row. In the Middle East, Israel's military offensive against Hezbollah in Lebanon continues, despite calls for a ceasefire, causing dozens of deaths. Choi Soo-hyung has the latest.
Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut, the capital of Lebanon, on Thursday evening local time. The health ministry there announced that residential buildings in Bashura were attacked, resulting in 22 deaths and 117 injured. The Israeli military has not commented on the airstrike so far, while Lebanese media outlets reported that they targeted a top Hezbollah figure, Wafik Safar, the group's coordination and liaison official. Hezbollah stated that Safar survived the attack. On the same morning, Israel fired artillery at a United Nations peacekeeping base located in the border town of Nakura in southern Lebanon. The UN peacekeeping force stated that 2 soldiers were injured and some surveillance equipment was damaged in the attack. The international community has unanimously condemned this attack. Italian Defense Minister Guido Crosetto denounced the attack as absolutely unacceptable and a clear violation of international law, while the foreign ministries of France and Spain also strongly condemned it. The UN peacekeeping force serves as a bumper between Israel and Lebanon. The Israeli military explained that it fired after advising UN forces to stay within a designated safety zone. Meanwhile, after Iran fired around 200 ballistic missiles at Israel on October 1st in retaliation for the assassination of Hezbollah figures, some Israeli right-wing figures have called for a counterstrike targeting Iran's nuclear program. However, US President Joe Biden has urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to target nuclear facilities or oil infrastructure. The UK's Financial Times reported that while Israel has warned of retaliation for Iran's ballistic missile attack, there have been warnings that if Israel targets nuclear facilities, Iran may revise its nuclear strategy. Chesyang, Arirang News.
As clashes between Israel and Hezbollah intensify, the Foreign Ministry has expanded a travel ban for certain areas in southern Lebanon. Starting Saturday midnight, the travel ban, the highest level in the 4-tier travel advisory system, will be issued for the South and Nabatieh governorates in Lebanon. Previously, the ministry had issued a level 3 alert advising nationals to leave areas. For both Lebanon and Israel, and a level 4 alert, the travel ban for the border area between the two countries. The ministry urged any citizens who had plans to travel to the designated areas to cancel them, and for South Korean citizens residing in those areas to evacuate immediately. In other news, a captivating showcase of Korea's traditional dress, Hanbok, is being presented in Insadong Central, Seoul. Our Yoon was there.
Korea's traditional clothing, Hanbok, embodies a distinct beauty. One brand that brings this beauty into everyday life is Sondaum, which means expressing one's natural beauty by preserving the distinct lines of Hanbok. Sondaum's director Kim Jong-sun believes this is how Hanbok's charm is maintained.
So using modern fabrics, this design uniquely blends traditional knots to add distinctive points to the hair, sleeves, and other elements. Whether it's everyday Hanbok or traditional Hanbok, there are essential elements that must remain unchanged.
Hanbok is also worn in daily life, as showcased in this exhibition, which highlights both its artistic appeal and contemporary interpretations, with participation from over 30 brands. Every year, Insadong hosts a vibrant cultural, antique, and art event, and this year the Hanbok Fair makes its debut as an exciting addition to the event.
We are here to get married on 19 this month, and we're going to have a traditional wedding in Hanbok. That's really beautiful, and I think that it's from the past, but it's really living today. And
this exhibition features stunning designs that capture the spirit of today's fashion while respecting tradition. And what better way to celebrate this fusion than with an exciting fashion show? Get ready to be inspired by modern Hanbok designs that challenge convention and redefine style. This Hanbok fashion show is a meaningful runway experience for the models, as wearing traditional Korean clothing is a special honor for them. In fact, many of them would love to wear Hanbok in their everyday lives.
Absolutely yes, because who wouldn't? Because the color is really beautiful, and especially it's really comfy. I heard that people don't really wear Hanbok in their daily life because it's kind of uncomfortable, but this Hanbok is really comfortable. So
the Hanbok Fair, which runs until October 13th, is an event where the value and beauty of Hanbok can be appreciated in various ways, and there's an opportunity to buy a Hanbok as well.
The female model looked beautiful in her tweed-inspired dress and made me think it would be nice to try wearing Hanbok in everyday life.
Adapting to modern trends could be one of the most effective ways to uphold the Hanbok tradition, preserving its meaning, and ensuring it remains alive for many years to come. Yoon, Arirang News.
This morning, the whole country started chilly at around 15 degrees Celsius. During the day, the autumn sun shined and there was a sense of warmth. This weekend will have similar weather as today, so it will be good to enjoy outdoor activities. However, please keep in mind that there is a big daily temperature difference this weekend. The waves will be high on the coastlines of the Gyeongsang-do provinces and Jeju Island for the time being. High waves can cross the seashores or breakwaters, so please pay attention to safety accidents if you visit coastal areas this weekend. Tomorrow morning will start off at 12 degrees in Daejeon, Chuncheon and Gyeongju 11 degrees. Daily highs will move up to 26 in Gwangju, Daegu, Gyeongju and Busan. There will be frequent rain in the southern parts of the country early next week. There's rain forecast for the eastern parts of Gangwon-do province next Thursday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.